Everybody, welcome back inside the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is December 17th, 2018, and we are finally back with one of our weekly videos. It's been a little hit or miss as to whether or not we could find internet access to upload our videos. Ours, like we're the British royalty. Also, when we can find internet access for our laptop, for our processing system, we don't do these on the phone. One of the biggest problems, I mentioned this in one of the other videos, is that for some reason you can't access foreign websites through the Wi-Fi at one of the largest truck stop chains in the country. I'm not exactly sure what the theory or rationale behind that is exactly, but be it as it may, it's a thing and it is. So basically, in order to do videos on the road, I have to go onto the websites with my phone, download the pictures to my phone, and then email them to myself, which is like 2 extra steps. It'd be great if there was a way to do things with my phone as far as like adding the video, adding the graphics and the interstitials and the music and stuff like that. And I know there's probably some way that I could, through YouTube, do that, but even then I'm still using the app for YouTube rather than like all of the creator applications that you can use when you're actually physically online with a computer. It's one of those things where it's great for a quick video, like the little video we did on cease and or desists the other day. But for more robust things like that, it it requires the system, as it were, in order to get along and provide you guys something that doesn't just look like complete and utter crap. Because frankly, I wouldn't watch me just talk about stuff. I want to see what the heck I'm talking about, which is why we do things the way we do. So we have the kit announcements from Hasegawa for February of 2019. That'll probably be the last of these fill-ins, so to speak, for February. And then as we go into January, of course, we'll start talking about March's kits. And as we get into the spring, then we start talking about, of course, the Nuremberg Toy Fair, as well as the Shizuoka Hobby Show. So, with that being said, our Hasegawa February kits are going to be the Nissan 240Z patrol car. So this is a police version of the Nissan 240Z. Obviously, they're running off a whole bunch of these right now to make the rally cars. So while they have the tooling out, they're going to run off the couple extra parts you need to make the patrol car. It'll be a JDM spec 240Z. Obviously, there were no well, I can't say there were no. There might have been somebody somewhere in the United States that used one, but there were no 240Z patrol cars in the United States. So obviously, it's a Japanese police car. They're going to reissue the Nissan Sunny GB120, Nissan Sunny pickup truck. This is, of course, the first of the Nissan Sunny pickups that were released. So that's just getting a restock. They're also going to reissue for restock the JAX Honda Civic, Japanese touring championship car, from 1992. That is like the 3-door, the hatchback Civic, not the Ferio, not the 4-door. And then you're going to get a few things here that are amusing, and they're because I just find the 124 scale F1 cars always fascinating, and they're continuing to have some coming out. I'm not sure how many of these are direct reissues, or if they're starting to throw new liveries into these. I have to do a little more research on them, but they're going to be doing a 124 scale Jordan 192, and that is going to be the 1992 F1 Shakedown car. So this is the test car for the 1992 F1 season. I'm not sure that livery's ever been done by Hasegawa before, so that may be a new one. They're also going to reissue in 124th scale the Reynard 89D, this time with the Italia livery. Also, the 124 scale Honda RA272E. Now, that just came out last month. This is going to be the 1965 US Grand Prix version of that kit. Also, a reissue of the Subaru Legacy Rally car, the 1991, the early boxy Legacy. And this is going to be for the RAC, the Royal Auto Club Rally in Great Britain. That is a Rothman's livery, at least a Rothman inspired livery. The livery that is shown on the box art, or the test art, the development art for this does not actually have Rothman's livery. I think it says something like Subaru Rally or something like that in there. So I'm not technically sure whether or not, because I haven't looked it up, whether this is a situation where, as we talked about before, sometimes the cigarette liveries became other things, like the barcode for the Marlboro logo and various things that were done with Benson Hedges through F1, as certain tracks would allow tobacco livery, certain tracks wouldn't. In 1991, you're right in that area where that stuff started phasing in and out, so I don't know if the Subaru Rally Rothman's livery is a legit thing for that rally, or it's just something they're putting in the kit to have, you know, logos in there. But the Subaru Rally thing is in the Rothman's like outline, so I'm thinking that that may be one of those substitute tobacco liveries where you know what it is, but it's not actually what it is. If it's not, I'm sure somebody will offer the actual Rothman's logos for it. And then last but not least, the one sort of newish thing that they're going to do for February is they're going to reissue the Honda N360, the teeny tiny little car from the 1960s. And this is going to be a racing version. So they're going to tool up some new wheels, a slightly different front fascia, some over fenders, and like a roll hoop or something, a very basic roll cage. Obviously, 1960s was still an era where, you know, 5-point racing harnesses and multi-point roll cages were not a thing, so it's going to be a very basic car. I forget what the CC rating for that car actually is. The development art set it on the side, and I don't know what, if anything, this is going to represent, like, specifically, because the details for it are not, you know, very in depth this far out. So I don't know if it's a legit car, it's a you know, something that is inspired by, or what the exact deal is there. But it is finally putting a racing version to that. So maybe we'll continue on with that as time goes along, and, you know, race the Gemini. That's still want a JTCC version of that Gemini, and I won't stop about it until I get one. So that pretty much covers the kit announcements for basically the last 2.5-3 weeks. We had gotten everything else for February in by the last video, and so now really the only thing we have to focus on for the rest of this video are kit releases. A couple things I will talk about before that, but we have kit releases from domestic, one European release that I think everybody's pretty much interested in, and then everything else will be from Japan, because a great deal of the kits that we were waiting for at the end of November came out right after Thanksgiving, and so they weren't included in the last video. On the decal side of things, two things. First of all, if you watched our December compilation video, you know we talked about the fill-in decals that Autocolor, the company that is owned by BMAX, is going to provide for the upcoming TA64 Haspengau Rally Oman version of their upcoming kit release, that's going to be sort of a mashup of the tarmac and the gravel kits together. If you wanted the entire livery for either one of these, you can get them. The Marlboro livery for the Rally Oman was done by Taboo Design, and then the Belga livery was done by Studio 27. I am not sure, however, at this point in time, without going and looking, which I didn't do, but because we're talking about these and not the other ones, but those may or may not be currently produced. So I'm not sure exactly if you can just run out and go buy them. The reason why the Autocolor decals are being done this way, which we're showing you here, is the fact that all of the other parts of the livery are included in the kit decals. They're just not the actual tobacco sponsors. So you see that the Belga thing looks like some sort of Canadian thing. It's like, you know, bah, eh? With the two-part Belga female logo, if you will. That's their you know, trademark logo, is the young blonde-haired lady. And so you of course have to combine decals there and to get that done, and then you have the Mr. Alou Marlboro decals there as well. It appears that the decals in the kit for like the smaller things, like the drivers' names and things like that, have the Marlboro liveries on them. From looking at the actual decals that are being sort of shown with the decal layouts, for some reason the really big word Marlboro is verboten So, be that as it may, that's just the way that things are being handled with that. The other decals we want to talk about real quick are the new decal sets that are coming out of SK Decals. These are all J and G at the same time there. These are all GT3 decals for things that are relatively recent. A couple of these are like 2016 season things, but they are from top to bottom the 2017 Macau FIA GT race. This is the Farfus, who was the driver, what is known as the Farfus Art Car. This is a very, very basic livery. You look at the car, it looks like it's matte black. What is actually going on there is the entire car is raw carbon fiber. So this decal set is probably one of the most expensive ones that Frankie has done. But in the decal set, you get a carbon fiber wrap for the entire body of the model kit. It's really impressive looking, to say the least. Very intensive. If you don't like decals, you will just might as well close your eyes and la me on this one, because oh my, get out the decal setting solution, fellas. You know, it's one of those things where it is a large amount. It is 2 full sheets of carbon fiber wrapped for the body, and then there's a smaller sheet with the numbers and the windshield header and things like that. Ideally, you need one of the new Falcon M6s for this, because it has the windshield that doesn't have the big number board plastered in the middle of it like the 24-hour Spa car has. But that is the one M6 for this batch that's coming out this week. The other ones obviously are AMGs. They are the IWC watches, 2017 24 Hours of Nürburgring car, the 2016 24 Hours of Spa Battlefield 1 car. So yes, finally, you bought a bottle of that burnt copper metallic paint, either from Gravity or from Zero or from Splash. You have a bottle. And everybody was like, oh my God, yeah, these decals are going to be great. We can't wait for them, because all of the decal manufacturers, or all the paint manufacturers rather, made paint for a set of decals that didn't exist. So finally, Frankie is helping you out there with that bottle of paint you've been hanging on to for the last year and a half. Go buy the decals and build yourself your Battlefield car. You also have the Hello Kitty car, which was run in one of the Blancpain Sprint events in 2016 as well, I believe. You will need, of course, the Sprint headlights for that. If you've never noticed what the difference between the Sprint headlights and the Endurance headlights are, when we talk about that sort of thing, you can see there between the Battlefield and the Sprint car, the Battlefield has 2 headlights. It's a high beam, low beam, and obviously has driving fog lights in the front fascia below it. The Sprint car has the projector beam and no fog lights. And the bottom car there is the one that I am championing you all to go out and purchase, because this livery is my livery, the one that I championed and shoved through sideways to get done, because it's the one thing that I wanted to have done, because it is the 3rd place finishing vehicle from the 2016 24 Hours of Nürburgring, the Haribo car. Now, Haribo Racing ceased operations after the 2017 racing season. I know the Gummy Bear has a lot of following. Everybody I've shown these decals to are like, oh, wow, a real Haribo set of livery. That's fantastic. And so this one, specifically, the reason why I wanted this one done was, if you followed along with us as we went through all the GT3 decals that come out over the last year and a half that the Tamiya AMG has been in existence, Studio 27 made the 1st place car, the 1st place car, the 2nd place car, the 4th place car, the 28th place car, and then the 6th place car. The 3rd place car is the Haribo livery. The 5th place car is the RAL Racing M6. So Frankie and I are in discussions once a bunch of backlog things get out, because the next batch is going to be focusing on the 2018 FIA GT Macau race, which was won by the BMW M6, and there's the M6, and there's, I believe, 3 AMGs, at least 3 AMGs out of that race that he's going to be doing next, to make sure that we're not doing what we're doing now, which is releasing 2017 M6, the Farfus car, this late, where by the time the decals come out, the 2017 race happened last month, so they're like a year plus late, if you will. So he's going to be doing the 2018 season cars, and then we'll see where we go from there. A lot of it depends on, of course, BMAX and New Hobby and how they release kits. It looks like the next BMAX kits are going to be 2 modified reissues, and then the new tool for at least the beginning of 2019. The 2 modified reissues are going to be a version of the 1/20th scale Brabham BT F1 car to turn it into a BT 52B. There's going to be a modified reissue release of the BMW E30 M3 that's going to have the 2-in-1 decal set. It's going to be the Jägermeister DTM livery as well as the FINA livery. The way that is being like tentatively marketed, at least through the literature that I've glanced at when that all came out and then was taken away, and now it's sort of it's leaking back out as the release dates get closer, is that the FINA livery is a Group A car. Now the Group A cars would be prior to the Evo body kit that the DTM car, the base kit, the Warsteiner kit has in it. Now all of the parts that are needed for the Group A car came with the M3 Rally kit. So all of those parts exist. They just need to be packaged into the touring car kit. So more than likely that's what's going to happen with that. And then the new tool kit that is next new tool, because the Delta S4 is coming out this month. The next one after that looks like it's going to be the Mitsubishi Lancer rally car from the early 1980s. I believe it's 1983 Lombard Rack Royal Auto Club rally, the British rally. It's going to be what the livery is on that. It looks like it's the Advan livery, at least in the promotional shots. What it will be when it comes out, we'll see, but I believe those will be the next 3 BMAX kits. And then, of course, the new Hobby 911 has to be getting kind of sort of close. That may be more of a first half of 2019 rather than a first quarter. But a lot of what Frankie looks at when doing decals, of course, will be like what's coming up next and what should I be working on. So there's several liveries that we want to do for the 911, obviously. The winning Nuremberg car, the winning Le Mans car, some of the cars that ran the 2018 Gear Race of Macau, and then you have the Audi after that. So there's lots of stuff to look at. So it's, sometimes, like I said, with the Haribo livery, you have to try to cram it in there to get it out, because there's so many other things to work on that are current, sometimes going backwards, unless the kit is specifically, from a certain era, like all of the M3 decals he did for the Gear Race of Macau things. Is a little harder to do. So those are your decal chat for this month, pretty much. Looks like the Studio 27 carbon fiber decal set for month of December is going to be for the Tyrol 020. So if you have one of those and you've been looking for carbon fiber on that, that'll be coming out this month. That takes us to actual kit releases. We have a bunch of stuff here domestically. One kit that is actually not a round 2 kit out of the stuff that I'm looking at here. And that is the Donnie Allison 1979 Oldsmobile 442 Hawaiian Tropic livery. So this is just the same kit that was done with the Buddy Baker kit, just with a new livery. The Hawaiian Tropic livery is in this. Apologize for the flash, but stole this picture from the local hobby shop website, or Facebook page, I should say. So I don't want to hear about the flash. I didn't take the picture. But be that as it may, know that there's nothing fixed about this kit. You guys know, if you followed our videos, the Salvinos JR thing has a bad front end, a bad back end, a wildly incorrect rear suspension, a moderately incorrect front suspension, and we're not going to talk about what's going on with the transmission there, but go back and watch the video. I'm not going to go through it all again. But those parts, as we've covered, are going to be fixed in the upcoming Monte Carlo release that probably will be in the first quarter of 2019 at this point, with a new front bumper, new front grille, new rear bumper, the correct rear suspension, and things like that, or a corrector rear suspension. So know that this kit, as it comes out, is the exact same kit as the Buddy Baker one, with all of the same problems. If you don't care about the problems, then you don't care about the problems, and I don't care if you don't care, in the sense of, like, I'm not... one of the things that I see a lot of people say, just in general, when kits are critiqued, is like, well, you want them to fail, you don't want to... I don't care if you buy it or not. I'm just telling you what's wrong with it. If you don't care, then you don't care. And I don't care if you don't care, because I'm not the one spending the money. Would I buy it? No, I wouldn't, not until the fixed parts come out. But at the same time, I'm not going to look down upon you or be negative to you because you wanted to buy it. Hey, buy it and build it, knock your socks off, and have a good time with it. It's your hobby. Do what you want to with it. But that kit is out. That is a limited release. They were only supposed to be doing 2,500 of those. That is, like I said, the local hobby shop has them. So obviously you can buy them directly from JR directly, or find your hobby shop that will carry them. Then everything else we have are the follow-up, the end of November, basically from round 2. And how excited you are about any of this depends on whether or not you care, I guess. The reissue of this is the 72 Chevy Nova SS Pro Stalker, the old Pro. Very retro box art throwback here to the most recent box art of the old Pro that was done sometime in the late 80s, I'm going to say, maybe it was. It was certainly an AMT Ertl era release, I believe. Very entertainingly, I've seen a couple people bring this kit up. Well, it still has this issue. It still has that issue. All they did was throw some pad printed slicks into it, and they're putting out the same kit. This is a B team effort. I can't fathom, and it just drives me up a wall and across the ceiling and down the other side. This kit, I've seen it with the it's there and gone. The 48 Ford convertible, from whatchamacallit. Shoot, I can't think of the movie. I'm sitting here going, summer loving, heaven in my head, but I can't think of the movie. Wow. Now it'll come to me. Don't even start leaving comments. I'll figure it out by the end of the video. But anyway, that kit was strangled by certain people in the forums because it was only the movie car or the factory stock car. Why didn't they include all the custom parts out of either the good guys version of the convertible, or worse yet, because those parts are connected in the sense they'll fit, but they're not interconnected, like they're not on the exact same inserts. Why didn't they include all the custom parts out of the 48 Ford Custom kit? That would have been a better release. This kit I've seen savaged because, well, they didn't fix anything. They just reissued it the way it was. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know that if you watch this channel, but for just general speaking, you have any kind of awareness about what's going on in the hobby, you know when they're going to do something special with a kit and when they're just reissuing it to reissue it. Yes, okay, sure, it's another reissue of this. It was just out of the Beverly Hills Cop incorrect car, whatever, blah blah blah, but it hasn't been out as like the old Pro in a little while, and this specific box art, and obviously you're doing all the retro nostalgia nonsense with this box art. But yeah, it's the same kit as it always is, with a separate front end, because this was also, another, what was it? It was a Pontiac, right? Yeah, there was also a Pontiac. The C-pillars aren't equilaterally the same on both sides of the car, but it's been that way for 40 years. I don't know what to tell you guys. Well, not you guys, because you guys are smart and you watch the show, but you guys in general, because, oh my God, it's the same thing. You knew what it was. Why are you upset? Why are you surprised that if they say they're not going to fix anything, that they didn't fix anything? Oh, well, this kit is just the movie from Greased Lightning. It's just the Greased Lightning car. Well, that car was known as being just the car from Grease or just the factory stock car. They said that before Revell went under with Hobbico's bankruptcy. You guys have known that car was going to be that way for 9.5 months before that kit was released, and you're still upset about the fact that it came out the way they said it was. Y'all need to calm down with that. Also from round 2 this month, or from, well, technically speaking, last month, is the 1970 Chevelle SS. So this is a straight reissue of the car that was just done as a Jack Reacher car. This is the same 70 Chevelle it's always been. There's absolutely nothing different about this whatsoever, just in this fake retro box art. That is actually probably a throwback to real retro box art, because this kit's about as old as the box art is, in the sense of being like a countdown series. Then you have this, the reissue of the 1965 Buick Riviera with the George Barris Villa Riviera movie tie-in. So you've got triple pad printed pinstripe tires in here. There's a couple of different glass as far as the tints go. From what I understand, the majority of the custom parts that were always in this kit are back in this kit. The that I don't believe were necessarily in the most recent reissue prior to this, but obviously it's the vintage box art from the 1960s. And then last but not least is this. It is the reissue of the Piranha drag car. This is just the drag car without the pooler car, without the trailer. So you get a 20-page booklet, a bunch of stuff about the car and the building and how it was created. The decals are more expanded in this specific to the drag car than they were in the team. And so if you wanted one of these, but you didn't want to buy the whole $60 shebang, so that kit is out as well. So that's the U.S. stuff. There's one, like I said, European release that I think a lot of U.S. builders are very, very interested in. And I finally saw, right before I made this video, that there is a U.S. seller offering it. Now, whether or not they imported it from Europe and are reselling it, or they legitimately got one, I don't know. But it is this, the Revell at this point, Ford GT 2017 Le Mans race car, the GTE car. So this kit is 88 pieces, brand new tooling. It has absolutely nothing to do, of course, with the Tamiya's upcoming street car. This actually has a pretty robust engine in it compared to the Tamiya one, which looks like it's about 4 or 5 pieces. It's just the parts you would see through the rear window. This has a ridiculously detailed engine, probably, I don't know, 15 parts of the 88 are the engine, which is really funny because you'll never see most of it ever again. And the rest of the kit, by comparison, is very, very, very basic, similar to the C7R, although nowhere near as bad in terms of the C7R was like 40-some pieces, 50 pieces, which is a lower parts count than most Aoshima and Hasegawa curbsides. This does have metal axles, for anybody who didn't realize that. But so long as you push the wheels on the whole way, this car has a very nice stance and a very nice, track and camber and everything else. This kit appears to be pretty well done. Now, the body's in 2 pieces. The front half, the part that is white and blue, is 1 piece. The sort of flying buttresses and the whole back end is a separate piece. You will have to paint part of the flying buttresses white, or it's part of the body red, one of the two. I can't remember what it is right now off the top of my head. But having the whole back end of the car basically be a separate piece allows you to paint that red and pretty much be done with it. And then just two-tone the blue and white for the front of the car, because in this case, the decal sheets, the white parts around like the air inlet, the stripes, I believe the red part around the front air dam and the front splitter are all decals. Now, I think this car needs carbon fiber desperately that is not included with the decal sheet, and some photo etch, because there's some big vents that are not really represented very well with parts that are included. I'm sure somebody at some point will offer both. Maybe not necessarily a carbon fiber, but certainly the photo etch. I'm sure that Hobby Design or somebody will do a detail upset for this. It includes decals to build all 4 of the 2017 Le Mans cars, so the 2 European cars and the 2 US cars, 66 through 69. And there's very minor differences between the 2, mirror colors and obviously the car numbers, driver names. There's a couple of decal differences between the 2 of them. But this is one of those cars that is like on my radar, not necessarily a must buy. I'm not willing to pay what the seller wanted for this kit. I missed out on a really cheap but a cheap deal from a seller in the UK that I know Jonathan over Feedon's Garage purchased his through, that he did his out-of-box review on recently. This is one of those kits that I do want to get, but I'll more likely wait until it comes in locally. With this US seller, like I said, I don't know if he imported a kit and is trying to resell it at a big markup, or this guy is a legitimate vendor here in the United States and has gotten his in. But I would believe, again, that these should be in by the end of the year, or certainly by the middle of January, if U.S. sellers legitimately are starting to get their stock of them in. So that's pretty exciting. I know a lot of the guys out there were really looking forward to that one. A lot of questions when's that going to come out? Is it still going to come out? And all the rest of that stuff. And of course, kept telling you guys, yeah, it's a Revell Germany project now. It's still going to come out, but obviously, now that it's a tangible thing in a box, a lot of you guys will be happy. There's a group of people that I see on the forums a lot of times that are all like, well, I won't believe that till I see it on the shelf. Well, Shazam, it's there. Moving on, we have a few things out of Fujimi this week. These are legitimately December releases. There are 6 sets of wheels. The actual kits haven't come out this month from Fujimi, but the only kit this month out of Fujimi for December is going to be that new Tool Toyota FJ Cruiser, so that kit's not out yet. But the wheels are in, so let's take a real quick spin through the Wheelorama here. They are the 15-inch. Let me make my list out here because obviously everything here is in Japanese and I can't really read it. But these are the 15-inch Racing Heart rims. These right here are the 17-inch RS Watanabes. These right here are the 18-inch BBS LMs. Here you have your 15-inch Racing Heart 8-spokes. Here you have your 15-inch, what are known as shallow depth, because they're a much shorter wheel barrel as far as the wheel lip to the actual wheel center. 15-inch RS Watanabes. And then, last but not least, are the 14-inch SSR Mark IIs. So, all of those wheels, regardless as to what the trim looks like on the outside of the box, are not chromed in any way, shape, or form. They're not plated in any way, shape, or form. The BBS LMs, the 17-inch RSs, and I believe the 15-inch RSs are cast in like a primer gray color. The Racing Hearts, both sets of the Racing Hearts and the SSRs, are molded in black. So, yeah, I don't know what you're going to do with that. They do come with tires, though. A lot of the Fujimi wheel sets did not come with tires at one point. So these do all come with tires. Actually, the Racing Heart, the 14-inch, because you can choose a barrel depth, actually one of 3 barrel depths. So you can make them anywhere from a pretty shallow wheel all the way to like a deep dish pizza wheel. Does come with 6 tires because they are giving you basically one set of sort of narrow tires for a front wheel, and then another set of the narrow tires for the back, and then a wide set of tires for the back as well. So there is that option out there if you're interested in some Fujimi wheels. We have a few things out of Hasegawa that are 2 things are going to be November releases, 2 things are going to be December releases. So the November releases, actually no, I take that back. All of these are December releases. So this would be the one that I think the most of you American folks would be interested in. This is the 1966 American Lowrider Type T. Yes, it is a Ford Thunderbird, but once again, we are not paying for the licensing on the boxes. This is a very basic kit. I can't even begin to tell you how basic this kit is. For all of the simplicity the Cadillac had, this probably has 10 less pieces than that. It is seriously on the fold out for the instructions, 1 page wide. It has 4 steps because it is just the chassis, some metal axles to hold the wheels on. There is the interior, which has like there's a platform, 2 seats, the dashboard and the steering wheel, and the body. Then you put the front and the back bumpers on, and you're off to the races with your flaming decals. Obviously, it's like I said, it's a lowrider setup, so you don't get stock wheels included in here. It's a very basic kit. Again, these kits are based on from American kits that were done at the time that were then sort of back engineered into bodies that were designed for slot cars that Hasegawa later got a hold of and then created sort of a very basic, not necessarily generic, but basic rear-wheel drive American chassis for them and a very, very basic interior for them. So this again has that same thing like the Cadillac had, where it is a completely, totally blank thing for a dashboard that has a decal that goes over top of it. So this could be another one of these situations where painting your dashboard up is going to be key because the decal is just lines and everything else is clear. So it's going to lay over the entire dashboard and it's going to be whatever color you have the underneath be. So there is that. Next up, you have a reissue of the Ford Focus RS WRC 2003 Finland Rally winners. So this would be Martin's winning car for that race. The last time this kit was out was 2004, so it's been a 14-year hiatus since the last time this thing has seen the light of day. This is one of those we got to go look because I've not seen this kit around recently. Not that I really do a lot of eBay searches for Ford Focus rally cars. But be that as it may, this kit is back out. Decals do most of the work here. The back half of the car is black. It's kind of hard to tell in the picture what color it is, but you paint sort of the back half of the car black, and all of the stripes in the back, as well as the headlight surrounds, they're all in the decal sheet. So pretty easy scheme there. Not a difficult two-tone compared to like trying to paint all those stripes in the back. Then you have this, which is the reissue of the Isuzu Gemini, the JT150 Irmscher Turbo from 1989. This kit has the new hood and the new steering wheel in it to reflect the smaller engine that was in this car. And then you have this, which is the Nissan Skyline GTS R31 early version, Nismo 1987. Now, there is no late version of a Nismo as far as what legitimately exists, as far as I know. This kit in 1987, there were 1,000 of these specifically constructed Skylines built, sort of semi-in-house at Nismo, to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Nissan Skyline. The Skyline came out as a four-door car in the Prince company, which was sort of a forerunner to Nissan, in 1957. So 30 years later, you were in the R31 generation of Skylines, right before the cusp of bringing back Godzilla as the R32, and they made this special edition car. So this kit, from comparatively from the original R31, the GTS R, that was done, which is also another limited edition Skyline when you think about it. This has a whole new front end to it. Is new bumper. It is new headlights because the grille area is different with the GTS. New mesh wheels. There's a new rear end to this. The spoiler is different. The seats are new. The steering wheel is new. I think there's a couple of suspension components in here that might be new because it had or they may not be new, but there's decals for them because this had Brembo brakes in it, which the other one did not. And so it's a very interesting thing. It's kind of hard to track down information specifically about this car to get information on it as far as what other colors it came in. If it was only in this dark blue, the kit is molded in dark blue, by the way. Or you could get it painted in other colors. Now, I know that Jonathan also just built the GTS-R, and he painted it like this beigeish color, which is cool. But that car specifically was only available in the color that it's molded in. I'm not sure what other colors, if any other, if all 1,000 of them were dark blue, or what the deal was paint-wise with that. But it's cool. Another version of the R31 street car. And that, I believe, oh wait, hang on, there's one more Aoshima kit. It is a reissue for Aoshima Hasegawa, and that is this, the YHP Nissan R89C Japanese sports car prototype series. So this, of course, is the Group C series that ran in Japan. Different livery than the Le Mans car had. So there is that. Now, that'll take us to Aoshima, and we have a couple of reissues, and then everything else is either a modified release or there's one new tool here. So the one straight up reissue is this, the 2009 Nissan GT-R Spec V, the one sort of factory special that was done on the R35 platform, is only available in Japan and is only available in this dark purple color. So November releases that were done. Actually, all of these are going to be November releases as far as these Aoshima kits go. So this is the 2000 Toyota Mark II JZX 100. Just boxing it into the model car lineup. It really was released really not too terribly long ago in just the Best Car GT. This does come with the suspension as well as the wheels for the Toyota Racing Development Kit, but does not come with any of like the ground effects or the other parts needed to do that. So you can put the upgraded brakes on and the lowered suspension and the TRD wheels, but you can't really do an entire TRD out of this kit. Next up, you have this, the 1999 Nissan Silvia S15. This is available for you to do as either a Spec R or a Spec S. Spec S is what you see here on the box art, the more just sort of down-to-earth relatively. I think I have a Spec R livery on the side of it as far as the decal, the logo goes, but this is more or less what the Spec S looks like as well. It does include the way more aggressive Spec R front end that you see from the most recent release of the Spec R prior to this that was in the mid-2000s. There are a couple of new pieces that were tooled up for the Spec S and to make it sort of down market, if you will, as far as the trim levels go. But most of the Spec R versus Spec S stuff is done with decals. Then you have this, which is the reissue of the Mazda FD3S RX-7. This is a pre-painted model kit in the Innocent Blue Mica. So this was supposed to come out in May, and I don't know if there was paint issues with it, getting the paint correct, or what the issues were, but finally, this kit has been released. It's very interesting because the FD3Ss, because of the way the runners are laid out, there's a lot of spare parts in this kit that you don't actually use for a factory stock RX-7 build. Like all pre-paints that Aoshima does, everything about this kit is pre-painted. There is no engine in it. So there are several RX-7 kits that do have an engine. The pre-paint kits, regardless of what they are, they never seem to come with the engines, obviously because that would require painting the engines. But like I said, there's a lot of spare parts to this kit to do other things with, but ironically, or rather amusingly, they're not painted. They did not paint every part in this kit. They only painted the parts of the kit that you're actually supposed to use to build the kit, so that's kind of interesting. Then you have the modified reissue of the Pagani Huayra, and this is the Panchesto Tempesta, or as I like to call it, the Windy Tempest version. So this has a new front fascia area to it, new wheels, new rear fascia, new rear diffuser. There are some Tempesta-specific engine parts included in this as well. Somewhat disappointing to see they did not actually update the suspension to the Tempesta-specific suspension upgrades, but it's probably one of those things where if they had, you never see it. So I'm not too terribly concerned about that. Although with this kit being the way it is, with the front end and the back end and the doors that all open, that little extra level of detail wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world. It'd be interesting to see if this kit's going to build any better than the original Huayra did in terms of the fit and finish of the doors in the front and the rear clips. A lot of people very upset about the way that the front and the back and the doors fit and tended to glue them all shut, which I thought was kind of funny because I would have left them all open, but that's just me. So like I said, it was if they sort of fiddle with the fit and finish anything, or they just toss new parts in. Only time will tell if people actually get around to building that. And so that'll bring us to our new toolkit from Aoshima for the month of November. This, again, is something that was late, supposed to come out in July, but it is finally out now. And that is the Nissan Skyline. I call it the R34. It's the ER34 in here, but the R34, the 25 GT Turbo. So this is a brand new toolkit from Aoshima, representing what was the top of the line version of the Mordor R34, as I've been calling it to my friends. It is curbside. The tires in this kit I've seen, from seeing people having it, seem to be a little clunky and a little chunky. They might be some of the older 2000 tires, which would be technically correct for this car, but they're 2000 era tires, so they're not really, they're kind of square on the sidewall and things like that. But be it as it may, otherwise the kit looks like it's pretty good. The only comments I've really seen about this kit are some people think that it rides too low, which is really amusing because apparently it doesn't have sufficient factory stock clearance between the wheel and the tires. It's too low. And the other thing would be that the front fenders, in the way they fit, a lot of people are not confident with them staying attached when the model is assembled. I've seen that comment. Now, nobody has, as far as I know, built one and had the fenders go flying off, but obviously if you painted it and clear coated it, having the fender suddenly burst off while you're putting the model together would probably cause damage to the paint, if nothing else. So I can see what the concern is. It seems to me, at least from looking at it, that you should be able to apply glue to the inside of the entire fender, and then there's a small area towards the back where below the A pillar where it meets, that there is a very small tongue and groove sort of lip area where it fits a tongue and groove towards the top of the door, and then there's just sort of a lip towards the bottom of the door that you glue it together there. I'm thinking that with sufficient glue, not sufficient glue, but just a nominal amount of glue, gluing the fender to the inner fender wall and then also the butt joint where it meets the car itself should be more than sufficient to keep it on, unless you plan to do some really funky twisting with this thing when it's all said and done with. A lot of people comment about the fact that the front clip is separate. I just said the front fenders are separate. It is 2018. We've gotten past the 1972 Nova issues of front end fitting. We saw it with the Pro Box. We see it with the Fujimi Velfire and Alfred, where the front end pieces are separate, because if you want to backdate this to a 1999, 2000, the car was updated to the spec that you see here. 1999 had a different front bumper, a different grille, I believe different headlights, at least in the sense that they weren't xenon headlights like they are in this car. It allows them to do all that stuff with just putting some parts on a runner, rather than having to create an entire new front piece to the slide mold, or side piece, new hoods, and all that kind of thing. So I understand why it's done the way it's done. I know that doesn't make everybody thrillingly happy. If I was going to make one comment or complain about this model the way it stands to me without having mine in front of me to look at, is the fact that the moonroof, the sunroof, is mandatory in this kit. There is not a, oh, cut that hole out. No, this comes with a hole in it, and you're putting the sunroof in. Now, that may be a thing with the 25 GT Turbo, all came with a sunroof, but to me, there's some certain things that I think sunroofs look good on and certain things I don't, and I would like to make that choice myself rather than have it made for me. The other version of that is this, which is the option wheel version of it. Now, what is different about this kit, in addition to the fact that it has a set of TE37s in it, if you look, there's a slightly different lower rocker. And so this kit does come with different lower rocker panels, a different sort of ground effect skirt for the rear quarters, and then it has a different spoiler. There is a spoiler for the factory stock one, but this spoiler is a little bit different. And those parts don't cross, as far as I can tell, because those rockers, those aprons, and that spoiler are not in the parts layout, nor in the parts content of the factory stock 25 GT Turbo. I don't need another set of TE37s. I already have a set. So buying this kit because it's optional wheels didn't do anything for me, but I kind of like the fender skirt aero package that this car has. I'm not going to go buy one, but I am just a little bit disappointed that it didn't come with those skirts in both. I understand it's special edition, but at the same time, that was never mentioned anywhere, because when you looked at these, when they laid the parts out in front of everybody in October with the, oh my God, we're finally going to make this kit, those skirts were just there with all the tooling. There was no mention that this only came with that. So, is what it is. Nothing you can do about it now. One last kit to talk about in this video, and that is the Tamiya release for November, and that is this, the Nissan 370Z Heritage Edition. So we've talked about this, not too terribly long ago, with it being debuted at the All Japan Model and Hobby Show. This kit has a new front bumper, new turn signal, I guess there are turn signals in this case. New turn signal inserts, new turn signal glass, and then new wheels. And that's it as far as the parts go. There's, if you count the wheels individually, there are 9 new parts to this. If you don't count the wheels individually, you just say wheels, lights, bumper, then there's 5 new parts to this. It does come with the interior decals as well as the exterior decals. It does come with the striping package on the outside in silver, which is required if you're going to build one in black. All of the other colors that this car now comes in, the 2017, you may recall, we talked about this originally, only came in this banana yellow, and then it came in black. 2018, the car is identical to this as far as the parts layout and everything. There's nothing, not a single thing different with it, but it also comes now in red, white, and blue. So there are those options. The red, white, and blue cars all use the black stripes. The only one that use the silver stripes are the black car. So it is very cool that they did include the silver stripes for the black car. But I think they're also pinning this as a 2017, which you had to have the silver stripes because it only came in 2 colors. This is the same, otherwise, other than those 5 to 9 parts, the same exact car as the last 370. This updates it to 2017 spec, which is cool because the original kit came out in 2009. And it does come in left-hand drive or right-hand drive configurations, so you can build this as a US spec, or at least an export spec 370Z, which is very cool. So guys, that wraps up this video. We are now caught up here a little bit before Christmas. Still a good chunk of things to come out. All of your Aoshima kits, all the new stuff, the Hurricane Performante, the 5th Liberty Walk R35, the MGB reissues, the brand new tool, the R91CP Group C car from Hasegawa, the Monte Carlo 240Z with all of the left-hand drive parts, as well as the 2B Max kits, the Haspengau Rally Celica and the Lancia Delta S4, all still pending out there. The Aoshima kits are probably going to come out after Christmas. They seem to be running, pretty right up to the end of the month. It's going to come out in December, right at the end of December. So it'll be interesting to see if those things make it out before the actual holiday break that everyone is going to take. I need to look it up on my phone because, again, I can't look it up online with the computer system that I'm using here because, foreign websites are verboten at the Wi-Fi, but of course my phone's running on, the phone service here. Everybody is going to go on Christmas break starting on the 29th through the 4th of January. So if those kits don't make it out before New Year's, basically, they will not come out until probably the first full week of January, or the second full week of January, technically speaking, because the first full week of January, yeah, I guess the first full week of January would be the 7th, starting on Monday the 7th, because the 31st is technically December. So. All right, guys, that about covers it up. I'm kind of tired. I'm sort of babbling, so I'm going to go ahead and save myself and you guys the pain and suffering of listening to me any further. And we'll see you guys on the other side.